Singapore used to be a city-state people visited for a long weekend. Great food, efficient transport, and stunning skyline photos. But in 2025, it's becoming a full-time home for increasing numbers of American professionals. In this video, I'll walk you through the real, practical reasons Americans are relocating to Singapore for work this year. From changing visa rules and booming regional tech and finance hubs to low-crime streets, English everywhere, and tax and lifestyle trade-offs that matter most to a working professional. I'll explain the nuts and bolts, like how employment pass salary thresholds changed this year, and what that means for your paycheck and your family, and give you the on-the-ground factors that make people choose Singapore over cities in the United States. By the end, you'll know whether it's a strategic career move, a lifestyle upgrade, or a trade-off that only makes sense for some people. Let's start with the biggest driver: opportunity and pay. Career opportunity, regional hub status, and higher relative pay. One big reason Americans are moving to Singapore is that it's increasingly the regional headquarters and deal-making center for Asia-Pacific tech, finance, and biotech, meaning more senior roles and leadership opportunities are offered there than before. Global banks, investment firms, and large tech companies are still expanding in Asia, and many choose Singapore as a base because of its time zone, stable regulation, and business networks. That creates demand for experienced hires, often offering competitive pay packages that for many U.S. workers, especially in mid-career tech, product, fintech, and private markets roles, translate into better after-tax and after-cost of living outcomes than certain U.S. cities. At the same time, the government has raised qualifying salary thresholds for employment passes in 2025, increasing the baseline for new foreign hires, which means roles bringing people in tend to be higher skilled and better paid than the lowest paid alternatives. Pro-business environment, easy English, and straightforward hiring. 2. Singapore's business environment is famously pro-employee and employer. Contracts are clear, English is an official working language, and incorporation, banking, and hiring processes are predictable. For American professionals moving internationally, this removes huge friction. You don't have to learn a new workplace language, and many multinational teams are already English first. Companies also find it easier to onboard foreign talent because Singapore's legal and regulatory frameworks are stable and internationally familiar, which shortens the time from job offer to physically starting work. The result: less culture shock in day-to-day work, and a faster career ramp for Americans used to Anglo corporate cultures. Safety, public services, and family life. 3. Quality of life matters, and Singapore delivers in many measurable ways. Very low violent crime rates, world-class public transport, excellent hospitals, and high standards in primary and secondary education, factors that are particularly appealing to American families with kids. While housing can be expensive and complicated for foreigners because of additional taxes on property and high transaction costs, the public safety, reliable services, and clean urban environment remain huge draws. Many Americans say the trade-off of higher housing costs is worth the predictability and security their families get in return. Note that foreign property buyers face specific taxes and transaction rules that affect costs, so housing remains a notable trade-off to weigh against other benefits. Tax structure and compensation packages. 4. Tax and compensation play a nuanced role. Singapore's income tax rates are generally lower than many U.S. federal plus state combinations for a wide range of incomes, and employers often provide benefits such as housing allowances, schooling allowances, and relocation packages that materially change net take-home pay. That said, Americans are still subject to U.S. global income reporting and some taxes unless they qualify for exclusions or credits, so moving to Singapore requires careful tax planning. Still, for many mid to senior professionals, the combination of a competitive Singapore salary, employer benefits, and lower local tax rates makes the net financial picture attractive relative to comparable roles in several U.S. metro areas, especially after factoring employer housing support and the potential for faster regional career progression. Strategic location, travel, and Asia's growth story. 5. Singapore's geography and connectivity are strategic. It's a short flight to Southeast Asia, Greater China, India and Australia, so professionals who want to cover the Asia-Pacific region can do so easily. For Americans working in markets that are rapidly growing, think Southeast Asia's digital economy, cross-border trade and venture flows. Being based in Singapore offers day-to-day access to clients, partners and talent. That proximity is something remote work can't always replace. When you need to close deals, lead teams across the region, or build partnerships in person. The city's airport and airline links mean weekends in Bangkok, Taipei or Bali are often a few hours away, a lifestyle plus that many expats cite as an intangible but powerful reason to relocate. Community, culture and long-term residency pathways. 6. There's already a growing expat ecosystem, professional networks, American schools, clubs and communities, which makes the transition easier. Singapore also offers clear pathways to longer-term residency or the ability to bring family on dependent passes for qualifying roles, making it attractive for people who want a multi-year move rather than a short secondment. While the government is thoughtfully adjusting work pass thresholds to ensure local wages aren't unduly undercut, the presence of global corporate hubs and active expat networks means Americans can find mentorship, social infrastructure, and schools that feel familiar, smoothing the decision to make Singapore a new permanent base rather than a short stint. So, is Singapore right for you? For many American professionals in tech, finance, and regionally focused roles, Singapore in 2025 offers a rare mix. Elevated career opportunities, predictable business rules, English-first workplaces, and a high quality of life, balanced, yes, against higher housing costs and new visa salary thresholds that favor higher-skilled hires. If you're thinking about making the move, start with 3 steps. 1. Talk to a tax advisor who understands both US and Singapore rules. 2. Talk to people working in your target companies in Singapore to understand the real total compensation. And 3. Consider a short exploratory trip to test neighborhood schools and commuting. If you want, I can make a part 2 on taxes and housing numbers for Americans specifically. Smash that like button if this helped, subscribe for weekly deep dives on global careers, and tell me in the comments, what's the #1 thing that would make you move overseas?